Have you thought about the effect of the tariffs that are being applied by the US government to the countries around the world? Think about it. We started with the big fish, China, India, the EU, UK. Now we moved on to the African countries and the smaller countries as well, receiving what we call the reciprocal tariffs by the US. And in all this war that is happening, because this to me is a trade war that is already happening. It's already happening. It's not going to start. It's already done. It's happening now. Of course, the war is majorly between USA and China, and then the proxies that are coming in. But the antagonist is the USA. And some countries have actually been levied some tariffs that are, I consider, unimaginable. Countries like Lesotho, with tariffs as high as 60%, 64%, 84%. You look at it and I'm just wondering, when will this war end? And what is the impact of this trade war? Fact number one, in all this hullabaloo and everything that is happening, Africa seems to be missing in action. They have been affected by the tariffs war, but they seem not to be aggressive about it, with some African countries actually proceeding to remove tariffs on the goods that come from the USA. That includes Nigeria and Zimbabwe. It's a very interesting thing to think about. It's a very interesting time to be alive at the moment, because you get to see how economics and economic power and financial muscle can actually can affect you, about countries' economies, can affect you as an individual. Because now if countries like Zimbabwe and Nigeria have removed their tariffs for goods which are coming from the US, what does that mean? What does that tell you? Are they cowing? I don't know. Are they afraid, or what's going on there? I don't understand. Anyway, that's the topic for another discussion. But thinking about it, Africa has been left behind, totally behind. They seem not to understand what's going on, or they do and they're ignoring, or they think they're too small. And the reason why Africa is being left behind in this war is because of the fragmentations of the different African nations. So Nigeria is going against USA as Nigeria. Kenya is going against USA as Kenya. South Africa is going against USA as South Africa. Definitely there is no way you can win that war. And the reason being, and I want to give you some statistics, the populations that we're talking about are incredible. Let me tell you. For example, the war between USA and China in terms of the trade wars is a back and forth. China is imposing this, USA is imposing this. China retaliates like this, USA pushes things like that. So there is a tug of war between those two powerful nations. And the reason why this tug of war is there is because of the markets. Big companies in China want to be in US. Big companies in US want to be in China. They want to trade because of the numbers. As per last year, China had about 1.42 billion people, while the USA had 343 million people. Now, here comes the imbalance. Africa has 1.5 billion people, but they cannot operate as one. So the market that is Africa is ignored because it is fragmented. It's fragmented into small, tiny 20 million people in this country, 54 million people in Kenya, 100 million people in Tanzania. Small markets are fragmented. So when the big players are trying to look at the market, they'll just ignore Africa because it is not united. And this is the call for us as Africans. We have to trade first amongst ourselves before we trade with the outside world. I know it's a hard call, but it has to happen. Because we are 1.53 and projected to go to around 2 billion by 2035, in 10 years to come. That is a good enough market for big businesses to thrive. And if we can be together, then you can be sure that other markets will want to trade with us as a bloc. Tell you what, the only way Africa can rise from this is to come together under the African Union and then start trading amongst themselves through the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. It's called the AFTCA, yeah? Yes. They start trading amongst themselves with such. That is the only time Africa will rise from the dust it is in right now. Otherwise, as long as we continue to operate fragmentally, like the way we are fragmented in different small countries, you want to compete with China? You want to compete with USA? You want to compete with the EU in terms of markets? You'll be so insignificant. They'll look at you and just say, oh, we can do away with you. We don't need you. So that's the thing. Africa has to look at itself as Africa. 1.52 billion people. What can we do for ourselves, by ourselves, and with ourselves? It's the only way Africa can be respected. Otherwise, you will always be second class. Because the markets they are looking at, look at EU. What's the population of EU? Combined population of EU is about 450 million people, which is set to grow to about 588 million in 10 years' time. Yeah? And these are the people we want to compete with, as small fragmented countries as Rwanda, as Kenya. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that is a war that we cannot win. So for us to be treated fairly as Africa, we have to come together. AFTCA has to work now. It has to work now more than it has ever worked before. And it is good what is happening in the USA, the tariffs and all that, because it will make our leaders to wake up from the slumber, deep slumber that they have been in for the last 3 or 4 decades. I don't know even how long, century or something like that. Wake up and smell coffee. Nobody will take care of you. Nobody will come to rescue you. You have to do it on your own. So my call to you leaders and Africans that are in general, let's start thinking as one. Let us come together. Let us strengthen the AFTCA. Let's start trading with each other. Let it be easier to move from Kenya to Nigeria to Ghana to Morocco easily without having the bureaucratic visa regime of you cannot move from Kenya to Nigeria without having a visa. You know those kind of a lot of nonsense that happens. Yet you're in the same continent, landmass. We have to reach to that point. That's why this war, the trade war, Africans are spectators. And the only way they can stop from being spectators is to come together, strengthen the African Union, operate under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, that agreement, operate under that, and then we can be respected by the rest of the world. My thoughts for today. Adios.